Welcome to the Lalulah Podcast, real life conversations about modern sexuality and how to live a happy, healthy, turned on life. I'm your host, Laura Allen, a holistic health coach and founder of Lalulah, an online platform offering natural erotica toys as well as the educational tools you need to expand your pleasure in and outside the bedroom. Welcome to another episode of the Lalulah Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Allen, and today I'll be speaking with Courtney Durr. Courtney is a personal trainer turned entrepreneur who encourages her clients to throw out the scales and replace them with self-love, body love, and self-worth, which she goes on to further support in her boot camps as well as her group online coaching and her one-on-one coaching. This is such a great episode, and I particularly love the way that Courtney shows up in a real, raw and authentic way and is super vulnerable and open about her unique experience with health and wellness and sexuality. We also deep dive into what it means to be a feminine woman in a modern world who's independent and self-sovereign, yet still soft and vulnerable. This is such a juicy episode. I'm so excited that you're here and enjoy the show. Oh my gosh, welcome. Hi, Courtney. How are you?
I'm very good, very excited.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on the show. I just want to say a massive thank you for taking your time to be with me and to share your story. I'm just so excited to hear about it. Thanks, girl. Okay, so the first question that I have for you is just a sort of a general get to know question, and that is, what color are you today and why?
I'm not really sure if it's a color, and I'm not talking about my skin color, but the first word that comes to mind is white. And it's in terms of what I'm wearing. So this morning I decided to wear a white top and white pants, and I'm like, is this fashionable or is this not? But I'm just gonna run with it, and I just feel so like fresh and crisp and clean today. So that's me.
Amazing. I love that. I love wearing white and light colors, and I'm really glad that you brought that up because I really believe that what you wear is kind of a reflection of how you're feeling internally. And I think just kind of by surrounding yourself, not only what you put on your body, but in your bedroom and in your environment with things that make you feel light and bright and happy, whether that be white or, yellow or whatever, is a great tool, I guess. Yeah. So awesome. Okay, so Courtney, I would just love to hear about your story and how you sort of ended up on the self-love, self-worth, body love path, especially coming from a background in personal training. I want to know. Tell me your story.
So I do come from a personal training background. All throughout school and growing up, I was part of sports teams, and so from there I went into studying sport, and then from there went into working in a gym. So I was a personal trainer at Les Mills for quite a while, and I guess just being involved in sport and exercise, there was so much emphasis on my body, and when I was playing sports, it was about what my body could do, and that was like really epic. But then as I moved into the gym environment and also got older and was more exposed to the marketing and the social media, it started to be less about what my body could do and more about what my body looks like. And so I guess, I was quite a young personal trainer, and a lot of the other PTs were, in my mind, older, more experienced, and so everything that they kind of advised me on, or everything that they did, I followed suit. And that that meant that I was okay. Those personal trainers are taking their clients through consultations where they weigh them and they talk about their fitness goals and their weight loss goals. And so I just kind of followed suit, and not only with my clients but also with myself. And so I was kind of doing things so my body would look like a personal trainer. I'm doing the quote bunny ears things, like a personal trainer. So often I was told things like, you can't trust a fat personal trainer, and as a joke people would say. And another thing that I would hear a lot from my peers was, your body is your marketing tool. And so I had a lot of pressure on I put a lot of pressure on myself to look like a personal trainer, or what I thought that a personal trainer should look like. And then I kind of put those sort of beliefs onto my clients. And so it was kind of I guess the first year to 2 years was me just figuring out my own business and myself and my fitness sort of journey. And then it wasn't until I would go through a lot of consultations with women that there was just something that didn't feel right. I just felt like, man, we're having so much fun, working out and connecting. And then we'd get into the consult room and I'd put them on the scales, and all that happiness and love and pride kind of just vanished because of what a number said. And so so often my clients would feel defeated, and then that would make me feel like I was doing a bad job, and it was just this really vicious cycle. And it wasn't until I kind of just I entered a half Ironman, and just had to forget about what my body looked like, and I had to focus on what my body could do and how I was fueling my body. Because if I didn't think about what I was fueling myself with, and trying to push my body's boundaries, there's no way I would have been able to cross the finish line. But I guess in that sort of year, I realized that I felt so much more fulfilled and energetic and happy in myself because I had a purpose, and that I just was okay, well, maybe the scales aren't all they've cracked up to be, and maybe I can start to define my own version of health within the personal training industry. And so I just told all of my clients that I wasn't going to weigh anybody, and that if that was what they wanted to do, they could do it themselves, but I just didn't want to encourage that was what defined health, and it definitely didn't define beauty. And so I guess for me it was small courageous steps, and definitely listening to my gut, rather than listening to kind of other people's beliefs or society's beliefs. And so from there I really took that ethos on board, and it grew into Body Love. And I started a little boot camp on the side, and it was called Body Love New Zealand. And there was just such powerful values in this little boot camp, and there was the women that came there spoke about such empowering and uplifting things that when I kind of went back into the gym to work, I didn't find that I was as in love with it as what I was in this little community. And so, I was just kind of well, maybe I don't need to be in the gym environment. Maybe I want to create my own little community where, we don't talk about weight and we don't compare ourselves to other women. and we just simply move our bodies because it's a beautiful thing to do, and it's a beautiful way to respect ourselves. And so yeah, I quit my job and started Body Love New Zealand, and that was about 3 years ago. And then yeah, I guess as I have learnt more about myself and more about self-love, I have evolved, and the business is like, it's a part of me. And so it also evolved from speaking so much about body image. Even though we spoke about positive body image, it deepened a lot, and it, rather than speaking about women's bodies, we just spoke about women's worth and women's love for themselves, not just simply for their physical bodies. Yeah, and so over the last 3 years, the focus has gone from teaching women to love the skin they're in to just teaching women to be on their same team and to root for themselves, and to realize that they are more than their body. Because, I mean, history has told us otherwise. So it's just trying to undo those beliefs and decide what our own version of beauty and love and health is. So yeah, and I am kind of rushing it a little bit. Obviously, I could speak forever, but in the last year, I just decided to change the name from Body Love NZ to Worthwhile, because Worthwhile captured more heart and soul of what we were about, rather than, yeah, as I was saying, just the body. So yeah, Worthwhile is now a magic community of women, and the big focus is on building a relationship with ourselves, but also building strong relationships with others, and yeah, kind of attracting your tribe. So yeah, that is Worthwhile and me.
That is so epic and so beautiful. I love what you were saying about how the scales don't define success. And I feel like that is so true and so relevant, because a lot of people don't understand that our unique body weight is not necessarily fitness cover girl body. You know, if we just tune into the ways that we want to move, and if we're nourishing ourselves with food that is truly right for us, then our bodies are going to be healthy. They just might not necessarily look like that, but they will be healthy and beautiful and vital and strong and all of that stuff. And yeah, also loved what you were saying about how moving your body as a celebration and instead of a punishment or like a flogging, you know, because maybe you ate pizza on the weekend. Yeah. So what were some of the challenges that you faced? I mean, you're saying that you worked at Les Mills, that's a big commercial gym, and then all of a sudden you're like, actually, I'm not going to weigh my clients anymore. Did you get much pushback from that? Like, how did the rest of your colleagues react? And yeah, tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, so it was kind of like that 20 seconds of courage that I just like ran with, and then once I had kind of like announced it, I announced it on my like business social media, and obviously to all my current clients, and I was so scared because once I'd done it, I was having these, you know, doubts of what if I lose clients, or what if people, you know, don't want to work with me anymore. The other older, more experienced trainers going to laugh at me or think that I'm crazy. So yeah, I definitely had a lot of those doubts in my mind, and it was honestly the best decision that I made so early on, because I didn't lose anybody. Everybody, and I have had mostly women clients, everybody completely understood what I was saying, and trusted in in me, which was amazing. And the thing is, I have no doubt that there would have been trainers that kind of thought that I was crazy, or maybe didn't think that my decision was a good one, but I didn't hear anything from anybody, so there was no point in me putting energy into worrying if they did, because it was my own decision. And yeah, if anything, it just attracted the people who I wanted to work with in any way. You know, it was the people that had that same ethos, that, you know, wanted to create a more holistic view around health and fitness, that ended up coming to me anyway. So yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah, it's like a filtering system.
Yeah, it was absolutely a filtering system. Yeah. So I was being proud of myself.
Yeah, you talk about that courage to sort of take that leap, and it can be so scary to hold on to those thoughts, that fear of judgment, and especially when, you know, this is your livelihood, this is your job, these are your clients. So there's a whole financial piece wrapped up in there as well, I'm sure. And just to sort of, just to feel that fear and do it anyway is epic.
Yeah, honestly, and it's really funny that you're saying that, because like earlier on when I was running the business, people would ask me, what's your business plan, and like, what's your predictions for this? I don't know the lingo, but they would say these like things to me, and the basis or the foundation of me running my business is just feeling the fear and doing it anyway, and just having like small bursts of crazy courage, and listening to my intuition. And it's probably not like the ideal business plan, but it definitely works for me, who is very creative, intuitive, and just brave, I guess. So that's all the scary decisions in my business have been based off intuition, trust, and courage. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Like, I love that. And yes, I mean, you're really working from that heart space. And the thing is once you are truly aligned with your intuition and, you know, your purpose and your heart, it makes it easier to make those decisions, right? Because you just know what the right thing to do is. Yeah. Most of the time, anyway. I'm sure you've chatted. Yeah.
A lot of mistakes, but you know, it's all part
Yeah.
of how.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So it sounds like you've had a really beautiful journey yourself, you know, starting out from body love, like you were saying, the physicality of it all, and then moving into loving yourself as a person more holistically, and self-worth and so on. And I wanted to dive into that a little bit deeper, and also get a better understanding of how your clients react to those sort of transformations, I guess, because once you stop working with the physical and start working with that mindset piece instead, what were the sort of results that you started seeing in comparison to what you were seeing before?
Yeah, absolutely. I might not be answering it in the way that you intended, but this is what I got from your question, is that when I have had so many women tell me that do the boot camps that I run, tell me that this is either the first time that they've ever loved exercising, or that this is the longest that they have ever exercised or stuck to something for. And honestly, like, just even saying those words just makes me like burst, just so happy. Because the thing is, it is incredible what can happen when you put yourself into a space where you know that the values in that space are to be yourself, be your whole self, whether that is And that looks different. That's not like, oh, she's a happy person, so she always has to be happy. It's like such a fluid space where you can just be yourself and how you're feeling and know that you won't be judged. It is also getting into that environment where you know that there is no expectations put on you. So yeah, last week we had one girl that said, I'm really grateful, because we do gratitude at the start of boot camp, and she said, I'm really grateful that I can come here and know that the coach, i.e. me, will not force me to go harder than I need to, because I've only had 4 hours sleep and I've had a really like mentally challenging day. But I still showed up anyway, because I knew that I could simply move my body, even if it was at 20% of what I'm normally able to do. There isn't that expectation from anybody else in the group, but also from myself. And so, yeah, I guess kind of coming back to your question and what you were saying around working from in, it's having the goal of building strength in your mind, and also releasing expectations around what you should look like or what you should be doing, and just simply enjoying movement for what it is and enjoying your body for what it is able to do. And yeah, I guess like having that mindset around yourself and the body means that you do end up staying doing things for your body that are positive, and you do end up sticking to it, because it's like, okay, I don't have to put this like crazy pressure on myself all the time to be something or act like something or look like something. It's just like, I'm just going to be me, however that may look like today. And yeah, I don't even know if that answers anything, but
No, it does. It sounds like what you're offering is a sustainable practice, something that women can really take with them for the rest of their lives. And, whether they do the same exercise routine or not doesn't matter, because they know how to look after themselves. Yeah. Mind, body, and soul. Oh, wow. And so when we first met, which would have been, I think, just over a year ago, we funnily enough met at a sex shop stall. Yeah. And that was our first meeting. And I would just love to hear about your journey with sexuality and how it's evolved for you over the last year, and what sort of impact it's had on your life.
Absolutely. I love that we met at a sex shop stall. So it's crazy. I realized that in this podcast I haven't really spoken much about myself, more so about the business. But yeah, definitely for me in the last year, I've made crazy personal transformations, and in particular in the love space, in the sexual space, and in the feminine space. So for me, they were huge focuses for me. Before my current partner, I was single for 8 years, and for the last 3 years that I was single, for the last 4 years actually, 4 years that I was single, my focus was on myself. I was absolutely headed up to here with men, and but not particularly men, but my need for validation from men. So when I was younger, just put myself in really toxic situations, and really craved attention and validation. And so after one terrible night, I just put my foot down and said, enough is enough. I need to work on myself. And so I'm really proud of myself for doing that. And as a result, I traveled, I started a business, I read so many books, and I have such a beautiful library of books now. And so, yeah, I really, really worked on myself. But I found that in the last year or two of that, I started to kind of question, like, okay, I have done the work on myself. I feel like I should have a boyfriend now, but I couldn't possibly bring myself to say I want a boyfriend, because I had built up this like strong, independent woman persona. And I was like, no, I can't like tell anybody that I want a boyfriend, because that makes me sound like desperate or needy or not strong. And yeah, and so I had to do some work around that. I had to embrace my softer side, and I didn't realize that at my core I am feminine, soft, sensual, sensitive. I had no idea. Like, I was always like lifting heavy weights and just like being loud and extroverted, and embracing like my masculinity, and just thinking that that was what ruled me. But yeah, it wasn't until I realized that actually it was a fear of surrendering. It was fear of like letting myself be protected and loved. And yeah, so it was just like so much fear around it. And so like at the start of last year, and it's so funny that what you were saying about at the start about what we wear has so much power over how we feel, because for most of my life I wore activewear. And yes, I love you, Lululemon. Thank you, Lululemon, for just like making me feel amazing. But a lot of the reason, well, actually not a lot of the reason, but part of the reason why I wore activewear all the time was because I thought, and I told myself that that's what my body suited, and that even though I knew like quietly my heart and soul wanted to wear flowy dresses and skirts and just and big earrings, like that was like what my heart and soul wanted. But I was like, no, Courtney, like, your body doesn't suit it, or people are going to think you're overdressed or whatever. And so it was just like so much fear covering and controlling what I wore. And so at the start of last year, my like theme for the year was femininity, and a practical way for me to move closer to my femininity was having no activewear Friday. And so I was just like, no, Court, every single Friday you are not wearing activewear. You have to like explore the realms of your soul and of what you really want to wear. And so yeah, now I still do that. I did it every Friday, apart from like the Fridays that I had to like coach and run boot camps and stuff. But every single Friday that I could, I was in flowy dresses and cute tees and everything like that. And so that was, it seems so silly, but it started something epic. And another thing for me at the start of last year was I wrote down in a book, I said I want to find a partner. And like it was so weird when I wrote down those words. I really felt that I was ready. Like I wrote them down and I just had this like just this calmness. And yeah, but not that everything works like this easy, but my partner came into my life like, well, I've known him since school, so he really came into my life 11 years ago, but he came back into my life 4 days after I wrote that. And then basically like 2 weeks after I wrote it, we were like together. And so the last year has been a journey of kind of navigating myself and my sexuality whilst being with someone. And so it's really funny, like you and I met at a sex shop stall, and I was saying to you, Laura, like, what is this? And it was a dildo. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get awkward about it because I'm still so new to it. But at that time, I didn't even know what it was. I was just like, oh, cool. Is that like a crystal or something? It's like, yes, it is. And it's also something that you, anyway, sorry to talk about this, but yeah, so it was a year ago. And since then, what I have done is just kind of, I've followed a lot of people who are open about talking about their sexuality. I've followed, lots of people, beautiful people who love to talk about their own sexuality, or just, other people's experiences. And it's just, when you hear people owning their sexuality and speaking more about, masturbation and being intimate with your partner and with yourself, it then starts, for me, what it did was I started to look at it and be like, hey, Court, you probably don't realize, but you've shamed yourself so much around this, to the point that you can't even say the word masturbation without like getting red, And so I realized that there was just this like unspoken shame around, especially for women and especially for myself, to the point where like no one speaks about it in public, and it was just this taboo topic that was meant to be kept between two people. And I understand people have privacy, and they want to keep that within their relationship, but it's also problematic in the way that no one's speaking about it, so everyone's kind of just like walking around in the dark thinking that these thoughts that they're having is shameful or not normal. And so I think for me, like, I'm still so new to that journey and being able to speak about it openly and publicly, which is why I'm just so in awe of you, Laura, and what you what you embrace and what you speak about. So I'm really new into my journey, but I'm like so open to exploring more of it.
Wow. Everything that you just said, I was just like, wow. It's so, I understand. I really understand what you were saying about having that kind of realization that, oh, I'm a feminine woman, and it's okay for me to be successful and play a big game in this world amongst all of the men and still be a feminine woman, right? And then all of a sudden, like, realizing, like a domino effect, all of these things that you've been almost denying yourself because for a plethora of reasons. But wow. Oh, I just love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I am just so excited for all the listeners who are going to hear that, especially for people who are starting to explore their sexuality, because I am personally very open about it, and so are a lot of people on social media, and that's beautiful. And it's nice to sort of also let people know that they don't necessarily have to show up in that way, but it is nice to kind of normalize some kind of conversation around it and make them feel okay about it within themselves. So, yeah. My gosh. So next up, we're going to have to start selling some crystal dildos at your boot camps, huh?
Oh, yes.
So.
and like at boot camp, one of the ladies, like, as I said, we do gratitude at the start of boot camp. One of the ladies just was like, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful for sex. I'm grateful for good sex. And I'm just like, yes. So like, slowly I can feel it, like the conversation like opening up in our space as well. So and just trying to like make people feel safe enough to be able to share it and own it,
Yeah, beautiful. Because at the end of the day, our sex organs are still a part of our body, and our sexuality is a part of ourselves and who we are. And it's just as important to nourish it and pay attention to it and treat it like you would your mental health or your physical health and what have you. So, yeah. Oh, that's just so awesome. So, I'd really just like to circle back to something that you were saying earlier about not wanting to admit that you wanted a partner and feeling needy in a way, and how that didn't sort of match up to your independent woman look that you had going on. And I really wanted to speak into that because I feel like that is very common, especially as, you know, in this day and age with the dating society that we live in, and it's very disposable. And you know, we have like pop songs coming out about like, I don't need a man, and you know, I put a ring on it and I bought it, and you know, I do all the stuff for myself, which yes is amazing, and it is genuinely important that we are able to cultivate love for ourselves and support ourselves and be self-sovereign human beings. But at the same time, learning and getting to that point where you can go, okay, now I'm full, and I want to share this fullness and connection with somebody else, and understanding that that longing is a genuine human need, and we're all totally worthy and deserving of it, and it's not needy at all. So yeah, I just kind of like love to speak to how you sort of unpacked all of that, because it can be a real biggie.
Yeah, totally. But I think for me, I remember standing outside of the field on Courtney Place, talking to my sister, and I said to her, and I wouldn't say this to, you know, many people. I said, I just feel like no one. It sounds so petty right now. I just feel like nobody like wants to be in a relationship with me, or I feel like no one is even like trying, you know, and I just felt pretty like I knew that I was beautiful, and I knew that, and I was confident in myself, but there was still this part of me that was like, but why am I in a relationship? And then my sister said, she said, you're saying that you do want to be in a relationship, but your language and your energy, she said it in a different way, because she's not as like woo woo as I am, but she basically essentially said that my energy and my language, be that body language and actual physical language, was saying anything but I want a boyfriend. It was saying like, don't come near me, like I don't need you, I don't want you, I've got this on my own. And even though that was true, it was just like, can you imagine, you know, somebody that you wanted to be in a relationship with, or somebody that you saw and they were just like, no deal. There's like no way that you'd want to even try and get in that person's space, who was just didn't want anybody else in that space. Whereas like in their mind, it was a different story. So I had to like rewire my thinking around being a badass biatch with feelings, being like a founder and an entrepreneur who also like cried and, you know, said stupid things or said the wrong things. And I had to understand that I could lift weights and wear active wear, but still like want to be cuddled at night, or, you know. So it was just like understanding for me that yes, it's important to be confident in yourself, and yes, it's important to validate yourself and not require anybody else's approval, but that at the same time to be vulnerable and to channel all of your emotions was actually in itself like a very brave strong thing to do. So I think like a lot of people think that strength is saying, I don't need you, I can do this on my own. But actually, strength is saying, hey, I need some help, or hey, can you guide me, or can you protect me, or so it's actually just understanding that there is in all things life and business and love, that there is different energies, and that it's not just like all, like women don't just have to be surface level strong. It can be whatever they decide it to be. So yeah, I don't even know if that makes sense, but that they just kind of like changing my idea of what it meant to be strong, and to understand that actually asking for help and letting people in was one of the strongest things that anybody could do,
Absolutely. It's taking that mask off, hey, that sort of, that shield, or that armor, saying, I don't need anyone, when really it can just be a defense mechanism against getting hurt, or simply not having to get vulnerable, and simply not having to front up and face all of those emotions that that feel a bit uncomfortable. And if we've been running away from that and hiding behind our sort of like macho success, and also, overstimulating, over caffeinating, drinking, and just doing, going all in that direction, all go, not stopping, no white space, then it can be quite an ordeal. I like to think about it like unpacking a house, when you sort of start to go into all of these emotions, right? And you've got to sort of take it one room at a time, and then you go into the room and you look at the box, and then you just take off the, one box at a time. You don't have to unpack the whole house all at once. So yeah.
I was coaching with a client, and she's very similar to me. Like, I see a lot of myself in her, and we were speaking about comfort zone, and she was saying, like, I don't really think I've got out of my comfort zone that much. And she was like, I did jump out of a plane, I went skydiving. And I was like, it's funny, because you and I both know that that's not really out of our comfort zone. Like, jumping out of a plane, yes, it's scary, but actually it's within our comfort zone. Me going into a gym is not outside of my comfort zone. Me running a business, not outside my comfort zone. Me saying sorry to somebody I hurt, oh gosh, yep, out of my comfort zone. Me crying in front of someone, now it's not so much out of my comfort zone, because I've become friends with that side of me, but it used to be out of my comfort zone, so actually, like, being honest with ourselves and being like, okay, yeah, public speaking is commonly scary, but it's actually not outside your comfort zone. But telling somebody how you really feel, that's out of your comfort zone. So just having to get real,
is being in a deeply connected, nourishing, vulnerable relationship out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
Me too. Oh my God, it's uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
But oh my God, the growth, and it is just, it is. It's so much more meaningful, and it's just deeper and more rewarding and real. Yeah. Say that one more time.
Oh, I said totally.
Totes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was awesome. So much juice in there. We're going to wrap up this podcast now, and I'm going to ask you some quick cues. So the first one is, how do you cultivate more pleasure in your life?
Okay, so cultivating more pleasure for me definitely looks like I see the word playful. And for me, channeling playful looks different, whether if it's in the bedroom and with my partner, or with myself, and sexuality, even if it is outdoors, being grounded, walking through nature, feeling the sun on my skin, lying down in the ocean, not having a fear in the world, or adventuring, being curious. So for me, to channel the word playful, and which in turn means pleasure to me, is about being present in the moment, and I guess like embracing everything around me, all the colors and smells and touches and tastes, and just being grateful for it all.
Oh, that sounds super juicy and very pleasurable. Yeah. Okay, so the next question is, what's one thing you've learned about self-love recently?
Thing that I've learned about self-love, that it is similar to nutrition in the way that it is so individual for everybody. Self-love is not a journey, and this is the first time I'm saying this, because a journey means that there is a destination, but self-love is more like a song or a dance, where there's parts of it to learn, and there's parts of it to enjoy, and there's parts of it that are going to be hard or that you struggle with, but essentially there's no end to it. It's just about embracing it, enjoying it, and finding that individual choreography for yourself. So for me, like being in the gym is self-love, being around people is self-love, but for somebody that is different to me, who is maybe more introverted, being on their own or with their family or with their dog is self-love. Gardening is their form of movement, so just understanding that there isn't an end to it, and that it is highly individual.
Awesome. I love it. I really hear you as well, and I love that you think about it like a dance, because it changes all the time. And I have a self-love menu that I write and rewrite monthly, and every time it looks a little bit different. And sometimes I jot down, single words of things that I want to do, like meditate, dance, have a bath, things like that. And then other times I'll write full sentences around like how I want to feel and what I want to embody as a form of self-love, and just being open to that change and that dance, and really being mindful of what lights you up in that particular period that you're going through.
Love it.
All right. Next question is, what is your number one sensual self-care ritual that you're practicing at the moment?
I think for me, it definitely has to do with being alone. I'm very extroverted, but I recharge by being on my own, and similar to what you were saying at the start about your environment. So being surrounded, laying on my bed, being surrounded by my glorious bookshelf, my plants, the light that comes in, and I think just being on my own, surrounded by the things that bring me joy and calmness, allows me to channel that side of me, that softer, sensual side of me.
That's so beautiful. So creating that space and that time for yourself is an act of sensual self-care. Oh, I love it. That is so, so good. This is juicy. Honestly, this is really, really juicy. Okay. So the final question is, if you had to choose one book, which book has made the biggest impact on your life?
Oh gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay. That's very, very tough. I would maybe have to say I really love The Untethered Soul. It is by Michael Singer, and it is challenging in terms of like there's some things in the book that I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that. But yeah, essentially it's just like it's an absolute game changer, and has really changed my mindset and the way I live my life. So it's very hard to pick one, but that's the one that comes to the forefront. So that is the one I will say.
Epic. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I feel like it's such an evil question. It's like I'm asking someone to choose their favorite child or something. I've actually not read that book, so thank you. And I'll definitely be linking to it in the show notes. So if anyone wants to grab it, they can, they can get it there.
Like, chapter 17 is like all about death, and it is epic. So yeah, which sounds a little, but it's so freaking good. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh, now I'm definitely intrigued. Yeah, talking about death, it's a topic. It's a thing. Yeah, it can offer a lot of perspective and a lot of insight. So, oh, juicy. Yes. Courtney, thank you so much. I'm so happy. This episode has been great. I've really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm really glad that we got to connect, because of course a lot of the people in my circle are, orgasmic women who dance around life and like wear crystals in their yonis and so on. And so I just love your modern, fresh, real perspective and how you live your life and honor your body, and just do things on your own terms. And I just think it's so beautiful, and I think you're beautiful. And for anyone who wants to find you and your work, or wants to come along to one of your boot camps, where and how do they do that?
Very active on the old gram, so at worthwild.co is our Instagram, and then Worthwild on Facebook. And then in terms of events, so we run boot camps, workshops, and online coaching as well. So that's one-on-one and small group. And all of that information can be found on our website, which is worthwild.co.nz. So yeah, I'd love to meet some of y'all.
Awesome. I hope that you come up and do a special event up here in Auckland soon. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks again, Courtney. And gosh, I just look forward to seeing you again and doing all of the things. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And don't forget to share it with someone who you think could benefit from hearing it too. You can also sign up for Lalulah News and stay up to date with all the juicy content that we only share on email. And I want to take a moment to honor you for following your curiosity and prioritizing your pleasure in this way. And until next time, thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back with another episode soon.